Hello. Thanks for joining me today. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm doing my first multi-live stream, so any technical difficulties, it's not my fault. Blame it on StreamYard. So there's a note, if you are logging in, it's asking you for to go ahead and showcase yourself and put your name in there. So if you do want to leave a comment and you want me to know that you're here or who it's from, give StreamYard permission to use your name, and then I can call you out and say hello in the comments. So thanks so much for joining today. Happy Tuesday. For those of you who don't know me or this is your first time jumping on a live with me, my name is Kaylee Lindholm, and I'm the founder of KLC Consulting, where we help high growth aesthetic practices build Fortune 500 leadership strategy in their practice. And we work with practices, hello Facebook, who are looking to disrupt their market. Thank you for joining me. Let me know who you are and where you're coming in from. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic today. Listen, I use this word a lot, and this has really been a conversation that I've been having a lot with our clients. I recently wrote an article on LinkedIn, which is why I chose to stream live into LinkedIn today. So I could talk about what is really behind this article. Why did I decide to go ahead and come out and say that disruption is actually not a bad thing, it's a good thing, and that it can be used as a strategy. In fact, not just a strategy, but an extremely powerful tool to help you take your business and your life to the next level. So if you haven't had a chance to check out my article, I'm basically pitching for you to go read my free article, because I know right now, if you have not been disrupted during this turbulent time, then you need to be. Okay, because, and I'll explain to you why I really believe that embracing disruption, where sometimes we may feel a little bit victim to disruption, we may feel like crazy things are happening around us that we're not really comfortable with, that's actually in fact a good thing. And so I want to talk today about a little bit of the perspective behind this article that I wrote, The Disruption Strategy. So thanks again for being here. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in. I'll try to get to your comments or questions later on in this. And so listen, 2020 has undoubtedly been an unprecedented year, full of unwelcome challenges, political upheaval, a pandemic, fluctuating economy, you name it. Like literally, I can't even. Yeah, I'm in Southern California. Probably doesn't matter where you are in the world right now. You're dealing with some sort of, we've had fires. There's been other catastrophic events around the country. And so I know how you're feeling right now. It's uncomfortable. And there's a lot of uncertainty. And we're really finding ourselves in some really tumultuous, uncharted waters. Like, what the heck? I know everybody is just ready for 2020 to end. I've never seen so many memes about in Instagram, like, when is this going to be over, right? And it's kind of what inspired me to write this article. Is I feel like a lot of us are talking about, our tactic, like our number one strategy this year is to survive. Like, let's just survive. And while, maybe it's facetious in some way, or we're joking about it, I think a lot of people really feeling like that, like, I'm just gonna call this year a wash and just chalk it up to it was 2020, and that's gonna solve all of our problems. And at the same time, I'm having conversations with clients that are kind of feeling like, well, hey, Kaylee, we're kind of easing back into the new normal now. Our restaurants were opening. I can go outside and not get shamed for not having a mask on. And so I kind of feel like we're easing into the new normal. But the reality is, if you look at historical trends, that we are, by looking at trends from history, we're about to experience an imminent aftershock in our economy. And really, we would be kind of not wise to ignore that. And so, here we are at this place where we have, some of us are looking at opportunity. Some of us are looking at just trying to stay alive. And so I want to talk to you about how we can capitalize on really the positive side of this disruption and capitalize on this wide open track for opportunity. So I want to start off by saying that while we're in uncharted waters, and it feels like this is a year of just complete uncertainty and chaos, really there is nothing novel about those things, about challenges, about uncertainty. In fact, there has always been uncertainty, and you can look at history, which is a great reminder to us that we have actually been disrupted again and again and again. I mean, even in the United States, we've experienced years of war, mass shootings, riots, political and social upheavals, economic fluctuations, and pandemics. So we're really, while it feels like we're in uncharted waters, we've kind of been here before, right? As a species, our ancestors have been here. And so we can look at history and look at trends and make decisions accordingly to actually catapult us into hyper growth mode, either as an individual or as a business. And anybody who knows me knows that I believe those two things are very much interrelated. I believe that growth in your business really stems from growth as you are as a human being. So I kind of wanted to unpack the whole personal reason why I am so passionate about this topic. And it's really based around the times of uncertainty that I have experienced in my life. And I really believe that it's those times of uncertainty that have given me the courage to turn the fear that I have into fuel. And I want to share that experience with you. And maybe you can resonate with this, with one thing I have to say, and you can take this experience or these ideas or concepts and make some instant changes in the way that you are perceiving this time. And this whole, concept of just surviving might really shift for you. And so back a few years ago, I was out at a sales meeting. I had a dinner and I came home and I pulled my car up into the garage. I went up to bed and, hit this, passed right out. And not maybe an hour or two later, my husband was trying to shake me, telling me to wake up, that there was a fire. And I ran, to my office, which is above the garage in the house, and it was already in flames. My house was literally on fire. I was thinking maybe that was an exaggeration, it was a candle lit or something. And so I ran and got my kids, and we ran out of the house, and, my house was gone. We had to move the family out for a year. And I started thinking, well, one, who actually, people who talk about fires, what happens when a house catches on fire, but who knows somebody who it never happens to you. It's one of those things you just are sure it's never going to happen to you. And I really, now I'm saying this, in a laughing matter. It was obviously quite a serious situation, but I realized that it really shifted this whole perspective about certainty for me, where I was so certain when I went to bed, I was 100% certain that my house was going to be standing the next day, and it wasn't. And so it made me really, really grasp this whole idea, this concept that certainty is not a real thing. We never have certainty. And so as we're going through turbulent times such as this, we're kind of grasping to what feels comfortable, because that's the only thing that we know to be certain. The things that we are kind of primitive brain, right? Like seeking out comfort and avoiding fear. And that was one of a major turning point for me. I've been through many other adversities in my life. I lost a brother; he passed away, and so I've definitely dealt with the utmost tragedy, having lost a loved one, and many other things, injuries in sports that were career ending for me potentially, that I was able to overcome, and many other personal things as well. And what I realized, where I thought maybe that was a weakness, or was I was kind of like being kicked down, and not I was losing strength. I realized that all of these things were actually strengthening me, that it was these tragedies, it was these turbulent times, these adversities that truly gave me the ability to rebound and taught me and reminded me that I have the ability to overcome them, because I get stronger, and now I have experience to lean on, and now I've been through times of adversity, so I am creating resources and becoming stronger and more capable of withstanding occurrences like these. And so, my goal here is not to minimize the disruption that this pandemic has caused. Obviously, there's so much sensitivity around politics and around the world right now. I am simply here today to tell you that I have exercised this muscle quite a bit, and I feel that it's my responsibility as a leader to step up and encourage people, and my clients, my team, and my colleagues who are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, who are feeling like they have been disrupted, to understand and grasp this concept that we can actually take this whole philosophy around disruption and turn it into power. And so I really think that this now is a timely opportunity to take disruption and to look at where we are in our life and our business and think about how we can change our perspective to approach it in a new way. So what I'd like to do is, over the course of the next few weeks, we're getting into the last quarter of the year, and I want to go through a series of really teachings around this concept. Today, I want to just give you an overview and kind of introduce what this is and why I wrote this article. But I want to help share with you, number one, how to believe in the power and positivity around disruption. Number two, to discuss how disruption can be applied both to businesses and to human beings. And then finally, learning how to actually create intentional disruption to catapult growth and differentiation in your marketplace, right? So this whole really year has hinged on one theme for me, and that is disrupt or be disrupted. As soon as the pandemic hit, it was very interesting to see how everybody had sort of their own unique type of response to it. And it made me think about when I was younger and I was in, high school and learning how to drive. And I took this driver's ed course. I don't even know if they have driver's ed anymore. I feel like a lot of young kids don't even want to drive, which is so interesting to me. But and the module was called defensive driving. And I remember sitting in the simulator in driver's ed, and there would be like the kids playing with the ball, and it would jump into the street, and you kind of have to dodge the ball. And then, you get to the four-way intersection, and the driver's ed instructor would say to you, okay, well, don't actually go. You're at a four-way stop. When it's your turn, you want to wait and make eye contact with everybody at the four-way intersection and then move, right? Because you want to make sure you kind of anticipate their move, and don't just go. Like, be super safe, and drive defensively. And then I would come home, and my dad, who is the one who taught me how to drive, would be like, Kaylee, I want you to unlearn everything you just learned. We don't defensive drive in this house, we offensive drive. So when you come to that four-way intersection and everybody's sitting there like willy-nilly, like, teetering around, like, okay, you go, waiting, you be the one to go. You take control, you drive offensively, you be the leader, right? And this was such, it was funny how I was transported right back to high school to think of this when this whole pandemic started. And this is a conversation I had yesterday and the day before, and I'm having on a regular basis with our clients in our business who are having thoughts about this, right? And really, like, brick and mortar businesses closed, and many had a very impulsive instinct to pull back. Many had a knee-jerk reaction to stop marketing. Many had a knee-jerk reaction to really, like, even get rid of people on their teams. And, unfortunately, when we have that reactive, defensive, fearful, survival kind of mode, then what we're doing, it's almost like, go back to the car analogy. you're putting a pause button on your life. You're putting a pause button on opportunity that you could certainly capitalize on during a time of disruption. It's like being out at the Grand Prix. If you've ever been to a race and seen those cars going, and all of a sudden something happens and like, you know, the GPSs are broken and these cars can't really see where the finish line is, but like they know, you know, I can find my way there, but I'm not sure. And the ones who weren't sure just completely exited. It's like they just surrendered. They're out of the race. And what did that do? That left a wide open track for the other 20% of the cars that were there. And so, you know, through all of this, I can't help but pause to think about how does this, you know, simple concept around disruption and how it's affecting the playing field in our businesses. As you know, I go back to that defensive driving lesson. You know, do I want to be on the defensive or do I want to be on the offensive and in fact be the leader and leverage disruption as an opportunity to catapult my business? And I can tell you that we've had clients who have really embraced this philosophy and have been clocking record months, even during a pandemic with no signs of slowing down. How did they do it? Simple change in perspective. So nothing really else changed, right? I mean, everything around them is going to, you know, complete chaos, right? In people's minds. But money doesn't go away when there's an economic downturn. It just changes hands. So they're really thinking about how am I looking at this? What is my perspective? And seeing it through a new lens. So I remember the first time I went to New York. I don't know if anybody here is from New York, but I know New York lovers love New York. And when I first went to New York, I, by the way, am a city beach girl. You know, I was quite disappointed, to be honest, because it was, for me, you know, I stayed at a normal hotel. The rooms were tiny, small. The restaurants were crowded. It was crazy. It was just chaos. It was the lights and the sounds, and you know, I couldn't see the forest through the trees. It was like one building after another, right? And here it's like trying to get from point A to point B. It was crazy. And so I left with kind of a bad taste in my mouth about New York. And then the next time I was invited, my girlfriend said to me, listen, you need to come out and do New York right. And I have friends in New York and we're going to go do it this way. And so she took me to this penthouse on Park Avenue and we went up to the top. And I am telling you, I looked at New York like it was a whole different place. It was like insane. It was like heaven up there. I could see everything. I could see Queens and Brooklyn and the bridge and water and this beautiful sky and the skyscrapers and monuments. And it was like, and a park. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And so here I am in the same city. And the only difference is my perspective, my vantage point, right? Where I'm looking from, but I'm looking at the same city. And so this is really where for me, disruption fits in. Disruption, if you can look at it through a different lens, right? Through a different perspective, if you can see disruption as a powerful tool to capitalize on open market, to really shock yourself, your body, you know, your mind into becoming somebody that you haven't been, into challenging yourself, into being somebody new, making decisions from a different place, you are made for disruption, okay? And anybody who knows me knows that the one major philosophy around disruption that I talk about more than ever, and it is really the human disruption. It's challenging your team members, it's challenging yourself to grow as a human being, to grow in skill sets, to grow in mindset so that you can become a better person for your business, for your teammates. If you're a business leader, this is your job. This is your job as a leader. Right? So how are you leading your team through this disruption? Okay. And I believe that you can really discover treasure in your business by unlocking the strategy behind disruption, understanding how to intentionally disrupt in a positive way, disruption without chaos, right? Calculated, confident, clear disruption that is following a plan, you can simply either push or get pushed, right? Because it's going to happen. Disrupt or be disrupted. So I'm encouraging you today to choose the be the disruptor side of things. And I want to invite you, if you want to take this conversation to the next level, if you want to learn more about how this conversation around disruption and how intentionally disrupting the status quo in your team can unlock treasure in your business, I want you to come and join me on October 1st for a 90-minute masterclass. It's going to be free, but it's going to be high touch, cameras on conversation where we're actually going to make intentional progress in your business and your life through taking this conversation to the next level. I want to help you rewire your CEO mindset, really accelerate your impact with a deeper sense of clarity around your people plan, around the plan that you have, the strategy you have in place for your business. I want to help you see the New York perspective and get that bigger vision for yourself and for your team. And I want to teach you my Fortune 500 strategies for learning how to use this vision to attract and retain top talent for your team. And I want to teach you something, a special technique, I'll say for later, that is really going to give you the ability to create well-defined metrics for your team members so that they know, even in a turbulent economic climate, what they can be doing every single day to help inch your business closer and closer to its final destination. So I hope you'll join me on October 1st. Shannon, if you can see comments, she's putting them in there. Otherwise, go to klcconsultants.com/dream team. And if you haven't read my article, The Disruption Strategy, yet, this was a 20-minute pitch for you to go and read it. You can also go to the Fierce Factor podcast and listen to the article in podcast form as well. Thanks so much for joining me today. Now go disrupt.